The Galactic War Council chamber hummed with tension as representatives from over a dozen species gathered around the massive holographic display in the center of the room. The three-dimensional image of Earth rotated slowly, casting a faint blue glow across the alien delegates' anxious faces. At the head of the chamber stood General Trellick of the Zarnath Collective, his metallic exoskeleton reflecting the display's light. His 6 eyes scanned the room as he raised a spindly hand to silence the murmuring crowd. The humans, Trellick began, his voice a low, mechanical hum, continue to defy all logic. No matter how advanced our technology, no matter how overwhelming our forces, they survive. They endure. And they win. A delegate from the Threxian Empire, a reptilian being with golden scales, hissed. Their weaponry is primitive. Their armor is practically non-existent. How can they hold against us? That, Trellick said, his voice sharpening, is what we are here to discuss. The humans' resilience has baffled our finest tacticians. Their ability to adapt and overcome appears to be their greatest strength, and our greatest weakness. As Trellick spoke, Captain Nix of the Ultra Defense Corps leaned back in his chair, his translucent skin glowing faintly with irritation. You act as though they're invincible. They're just flesh and blood, General. They bleed. They fall. They die. Yes, Trellick replied. But they don't stop. And when they fight like they have nothing to lose. The room fell silent as the holographic display shifted, showing footage from recent battles. A human soldier, unarmored and armed only with a rudimentary rifle, charged headfirst into a formation of heavily armored Zarnath warriors. Plasma bolts and laser beams zipped past him, but the soldier kept moving, dodging with precision and returning fire with deadly accuracy. Within seconds, the Zarnath formation had collapsed, and the lone human stood victorious amidst the wreckage. Observe, Trellick said, gesturing to the display. Their lack of armor should be a liability, yet it grants them mobility. Their weapons are outdated, yet they are precise. And their strategies. He paused, his voice thick with frustration. Their strategies are unpredictable to the point of madness. Madness, Nix scoffed. Or desperation. Trellick's gaze turned cold. Perhaps. But desperation is a weapon. And humans wield it better than any species I've ever seen. In a small chamber adjacent to the council hall, Commander Rhea Solari of Earth's Defense Forces stood silently, listening through a concealed earpiece. She leaned against the wall, her arms crossed, a faint smile playing at her lips. The aliens could analyze humanity all they wanted, but they'd never understand the truth. Humans didn't need armor because their greatest strength wasn't physical. It was their will to survive, and their refusal to bow to fear. Rhea's communicator buzzed softly. She tapped it, her smile fading as her expression grew serious. This is Solari. Report. We've located their forward base, came the voice of her second-in-command. Coordinates locked. Waiting for your orders. Rhea glanced toward the council chamber, where the aliens continued to argue and theorize. Hold position, she said. Let them keep underestimating us. It's time to show the galaxy what humans are really made of. The alien base on the forest moon of Zynar hummed with activity. Towering spires of crystalline architecture jutted into the skies, their surfaces shimmering in the moonlight. Beneath them, streams of alien soldiers moved in perfect synchronization, their advanced exosets gleaming, and their weapons bristling with alien tech. The base was a fortress, layers of automated defenses, patrolling drones, and bio-enhanced guards ensuring that no intruder could get within 100 kilometers unnoticed. At least, that's what the aliens thought. Commander Rhea Solari crouched behind a moss-covered ridge, her breath steady despite the tension coursing through her veins. Her squad, 6 humans clad in lightweight tactical gear, was scattered around her, blending into the thick foliage. Their faces were calm, their movements quiet, yet their eyes gleamed with the fire of determination. They had no heavy armor, no shields, and no backup. They didn't need any. Rhea's second-in-command, Sergeant Caleb Rourke, slid up beside her, his rifle slung across his back. Defenses are tighter than expected, he whispered. They've got motion detectors, heat sensors, the works. Rhea smirked. Good. That just means they're scared. Caleb arched an eyebrow. Scared of 6 unarmored humans? They're scared of what we represent, Rhea said, her voice low but firm. They think their tech makes them untouchable. We're here to prove them wrong. She activated her wrist-mounted display, which projected a detailed holographic map of the base. The central command tower was their target. Inside, the alien generals coordinated troop movements across the sector. Taking out the tower would cripple their operations and send a clear message. Humans didn't need numbers or armor to win, they just needed the will to fight. All right, Rhea said, addressing her squad. We stick to the plan. No direct engagements unless absolutely necessary. Caleb, you and Ortiz handle the perimeter sensors. Lily, Carter, you're on drone disruption. I'll lead the infiltration team. The squad nodded, their movements precise as they prepared for the mission. Rhea's voice softened. Remember, speed and chaos are our greatest allies. Hit them fast, keep them guessing, and never give them a clear target. With that, they moved. The forest seemed to come alive as the squad melted into the shadows, their movements as fluid as the wind rustling through the trees. Caleb and Ortiz reached the first set of motion detectors, a series of sleek pylons emitting faint, pulsing lights. Using nothing more than a modified screwdriver and a roll of insulated tape, Caleb disabled the sensors with practiced ease. Nearby, Lily and Carter worked their way toward a cluster of patrolling drones. The small, spider-like machines scanned the area with piercing blue lights, their movements unnervingly precise. Carter held up a small EMP grenade, his fingers brushing the activation switch. Ready? He whispered. Lily nodded, her eyes locked on the drones. Do it! Carter tossed the grenade, and a pulse of energy rippled through the air. The drones froze mid-step, their lights flickering before they collapsed to the ground in a heap of lifeless metal. In the meantime, Rhea and her infiltration team had reached the base's outer wall. The crystalline surface was smooth and unyielding, but Rhea had come prepared. She pulled a small device from her belt, a nano-scrambler, and placed it against the wall. The device emitted a faint hum as it disrupted the energy field protecting the base, creating a narrow breach just wide enough for them to slip through. Inside, the base was eerily quiet. The air was heavy with the hum of alien machinery, and the walls glowed faintly with bioluminescent patterns. Rhea gestured for her team to follow, their footsteps silent on the polished floor. They moved quickly, weaving through the labyrinthine corridors, avoiding patrols with calculated precision. As they neared the command tower, the silence was broken by a sharp, mechanical voice. Intruders detected. Initiating lockdown. Rhea's heart sank. The base's automated systems had caught on faster than expected. Red lights flared to life, and the corridors echoed with the sound of approaching footsteps. Time to improvise, Rhea muttered. She raised her rifle, firing a burst of suppressed shots at an advancing patrol. Her team moved like a well-oiled machine, covering each other as they pressed forward. The aliens, clad in heavy exosuits, fired back with plasma weapons, their shots scorching the walls and floor. But the humans had an advantage. Their lack of armor made them faster, more agile. While the aliens relied on their tech to protect them, the humans relied on instinct and training. They darted through the chaos, taking out targets with surgical precision. As the team reached the base of the command tower, Caleb's voice crackled over the comms. Rhea, we've got a problem. Reinforcements are inbound. Looks like a full platoon. Rhea gritted her teeth. Understood. Hold them off as long as you can. We're finishing this. She and her team stormed the tower, climbing the spiral staircase that led to the control room. The sound of alien reinforcements closing in spurred them on, their breaths coming in sharp bursts as they ascended. At the top, they burst into the control room, where a group of alien officers scrambled to react. Rhea didn't hesitate. She fired a warning shot into the ceiling, her voice cutting through the chaos like a blade. Nobody move! The alien officers froze, their glowing eyes wide with fear. Rhea strode to the central console and pulled a data spike from her belt. Plugging it into the terminal, she initiated a download of the base's schematics and troop movements. "You won't get away with this," one of the officers hissed, its voice a guttural growl. Rhea glanced at him, her expression calm but fierce. "We already have." As the download completed, she signaled her team. "We're done here. Let's move." They retreated down the tower, the sound of the reinforcements growing louder. But Rhea's squad didn't falter. They had achieved their objective, and now it was time to disappear into the shadows once more. The forest around the alien base erupted in chaos as alarms blared and spotlights cut through the dense foliage. Drones buzzed overhead, their searchlights slicing through the darkness, while alien soldiers stormed out of the base, weapons glowing ominously. Commander Rhea Solari and her squad moved swiftly, blending into the terrain with a precision that only years of training could provide. "Keep moving!" Rhea hissed into her comm. "They're sending everything they've got." Behind her, Sergeant Caleb Rourke fired a quick burst from his rifle, taking out an approaching drone. It spiraled into the ground with a metallic screech, sending up a spray of dirt and sparks. "They're closing in fast, Commander. We've got maybe 2 minutes before they cut us off." Rhea glanced at the holographic display on her wrist. The map of the base and its surrounding defenses flickered as the system struggled to update with real-time movements. "We're splitting up," she said, her tone decisive. "Caleb, you take Ortiz and Carter. Circle around to the eastern ridge and create a diversion. Lily, you're with me. We're heading for the extraction point." Caleb didn't argue. "Copy that. Just make sure you leave a few of them for us." Rhea allowed herself a small grin. "Stay alive, Rourke." "That's an order." The squad split, moving like shadows through the trees. Caleb's group headed east, their footsteps light and silent. Rhea and Lily moved west, skirting the edge of the base's perimeter. The ground was uneven, littered with fallen branches and moss-covered stones, but neither woman hesitated. They moved with the confidence of soldiers who had long since learned to trust their instincts. Overhead, the drone's buzzing grew louder, and the faint hum of an alien transport ship rumbled through the air. Rhea glanced up, her jaw tightening. "They've got air support. That's going to complicate things." "Then let's make it simple," Lily replied, her voice calm despite the situation. She raised her EMP launcher, aimed at the nearest drone, and fired. The device emitted a sharp, high-pitched whine before releasing a pulse of energy that rippled through the air. The drone dropped like a stone, its lights flickering out as it crashed into the forest floor. Rhea gave Lily a nod of approval. "Nice shot. Now let's move." The two women pressed on, their pace quick but measured. The extraction point was less than a kilometer away, but the forest was crawling with alien patrols. They moved in pairs, their sleek armor reflecting the moonlight, their weapons scanning the underbrush for any sign of the intruders. Rhea and Lily crouched behind a large tree, watching as one of the patrols passed within meters of their position. The aliens spoke in low, guttural tones, their voices barely audible over the ambient noise of the forest. Rhea held up a hand, signaling Lily to wait. They stayed perfectly still until the patrol moved out of earshot. Once the coast was clear, Rhea tapped her comm. "Caleb, status?" "Busy," Caleb replied, the sound of gunfire crackling faintly in the background. "We've got their attention, though. Half their forces are heading our way." "Good. Keep them busy. We're almost at the extraction point." Rhea and Lily continued their approach, weaving through the trees with practiced ease. The extraction point was a small clearing at the edge of a cliff, where a stealth transport ship awaited them. Its engines were quiet, and its matte black exterior blended seamlessly with the shadows. As they emerged from the forest, Rhea activated her comm again. "This is Solari. We're at the extraction point. Status on the ship?" The pilot's voice came through, calm but urgent. "We're ready to go, Commander, but you've got company inbound. Scanners are picking up multiple hostiles closing in fast." Rhea turned to Lily. "Get on the ship. I'll hold them off." Lily hesitated. "You can't fight them all alone." "I'm not planning to fight them," Rhea said, her tone firm. I'm buying time. Now go. Lily gave her a reluctant nod and sprinted toward the ship. Rhea took up a defensive position near the edge of the clearing, her rifle at the ready. Moments later, the first wave of aliens burst through the trees, their weapons blazing. Rhea fired back, her shots precise and deliberate. She wasn't aiming to kill, she was aiming to disrupt, to keep them off balance long enough for the ship to take off. The alien soldiers hesitated, clearly unprepared for the ferocity of her defense. Despite their superior numbers and advanced weapons, they couldn't seem to gain the upper hand. Rhea's lack of heavy armor made her a difficult target, her movements quick and unpredictable. Behind her, the ship's engines roared to life. Lily's voice came through the calm. We're ready, Commander. Let's go! Rhea fired one last burst before retreating to the ship. She sprinted up the ramp as it began to close, the alien soldier's plasma bolts streaking past her. Once inside, she collapsed against the wall, her chest heaving as she caught her breath. Caleb, we're clear, she said into her comm. Get to your extraction point. We'll see you on the other side. Roger that, Caleb replied. Good luck, Commander. As the ship ascended, Rhea looked out the window at the forest below. The alien base was still visible in the distance, its lights flickering like fireflies in the dark. Despite the chaos of the mission, she felt a sense of satisfaction. They had struck a blow against their enemies, not with brute force but with strategy, agility, and determination. Humans don't need armor, she muttered to herself. We've got something better. The transport ship's engines hummed steadily as it cut through the dark expanse of space, leaving the alien moon far behind. Commander Rhea Solari sat in the ship's central hold, her rifle resting on her lap. The adrenaline of the mission had started to wear off, replaced by an exhaustion that she couldn't allow herself to succumb to, not yet. Across from her, Lily was running diagnostics on the stolen data, her face illuminated by the soft glow of her tablet. Anything useful in there? Rhea asked, her voice steady despite her fatigue. Lily nodded, her fingers flying over the interface. Plenty. Troop movements, supply routes, even locations of forward bases. This is going to give us a serious edge. Good, Rhea said. The others will need it. The pilot's voice crackled over the comm system. Commander, we've got company. A single alien cruiser is closing fast. Rhea shot to her feet, her exhaustion forgotten. How far? 10 kilometers and closing, the pilot replied. They're scanning us, but the stealth systems are holding for now. Rhea turned to Lily. Get the data backed up and ready for transfer. If we go down, that intel needs to make it out. What's the plan? Lily asked, her voice betraying a flicker of concern. Rhea grabbed her gear and headed for the cockpit. We improvise. The alien cruiser loomed on the ship's sensors, its sleek, angular design bristling with weaponry. Rhea stared at the readouts, her mind racing. A direct confrontation would be suicide. Their transport wasn't equipped for combat. But retreating wasn't an option either, not with what they'd accomplished. Commander, the pilot said, his voice tense. If they get any closer, they'll detect us. Not if we make it hard for them, Rhea replied. She pointed to a nearby asteroid field displayed on the NAV screen. Head there. Keep us low and unpredictable. The pilot hesitated. That field's dense. We'll be flying blind. Better than sitting ducks, Rhea said firmly. Do it. The ship veered sharply, its engines flaring as it accelerated toward the asteroid field. Behind them, the alien cruiser adjusted its course, following relentlessly. The transport shuddered as it entered the field, weaving through massive rocks that floated silently in the void. The crew held their breath as the walls of the ship groaned under the stress of sudden course changes. They're still on us, the pilot said, glancing nervously at the sensors. Rhea narrowed her eyes. Then let's give them something to worry about. She grabbed a small device from her gear, a signal disruptor, designed to scramble enemy sensors. Turning to Lily, she handed it over. Can you rig this to emit a decoy signature? Lily nodded, already pulling tools from her kit. Give me a minute. Rhea turned her attention back to the cockpit. The alien cruiser was closing in, its weapons charging. Bright streaks of plasma shot past the transport, illuminating the asteroid field in brief, blinding flashes. The pilot maneuvered sharply, dodging the incoming fire with a skill born of desperation. "Almost ready," Lily called from the back. Rhea leaned toward the pilot. "Hold steady. We need to make this count." The ship jolted as another plasma shot grazed its hull. Warning lights flared across the console, but the pilot kept his focus, guiding the transport through the tightest gaps in the asteroid field. Finally, Lily shouted, "Done! The decoy's ready. Deploy it," Rhea ordered. Lily activated the device, and a small, spherical drone shot out of the ship's airlock. It emitted a powerful energy signature identical to the transport's, veering off into the asteroid field. Immediately, the alien cruiser adjusted its course, pursuing the decoy with single-minded determination. "They're taking the bait," the pilot said, relief evident in his voice. "Good," Rhea said. "Now get us out of here." The transport veered sharply, leaving the asteroid field behind as the alien cruiser vanished into the chaos of the decoy's path. The crew exhaled collectively, the tension in the cabin easing slightly. Rhea slumped into the co-pilot's seat, her adrenaline finally starting to fade. "Nice work, everyone. Let's get this intel back to base." Hours later, the transport docked at an orbital station hidden deep within a nebula. Human resistance fighters swarmed the hangar, unloading supplies and debriefing the returning crew. Rhea stepped off the ship, her boots hitting the metallic floor with a satisfying clang. Caleb and his team, who had made it back via a different route, greeted her with grins despite the dirt and blood staining their gear. "Looks like we all made it," Caleb said, clapping her on the shoulder. "Barely," Rhea replied, but her smirk betrayed her pride. "Let's hope this was worth it." The stolen data was immediately uploaded to the station's secure network, where analysts began dissecting it for actionable intelligence. Rhea and her team stood in the command center, watching as the information unfolded on the large holographic display. "This changes everything," one of the analysts muttered. "We know where their supply lines are weakest. We can hit them where it hurts." Rhea nodded. "Then let's do it. The galaxy needs to know we're not just survivors, we're fighters." Caleb crossed his arms, his grin widening. "And we don't need armor to prove it." The room filled with quiet laughter, but the atmosphere remained resolute. Rhea looked at her team, her gaze fierce. "This is just the beginning. They've underestimated us for the last time." As the crew dispersed to prepare for the next phase of their campaign, Rhea stepped to the station's observation deck. The nebula stretched out before her, its colors shifting and shimmering like a living thing. Beyond it, she could see the faint glow of distant stars, and the looming presence of enemy fleets that sought to extinguish humanity's fire. But they wouldn't succeed. Rhea knew that now more than ever. Humans didn't need armor or overwhelming technology. Their greatest weapon was something no alien could replicate: their unyielding spirit. For every challenge the galaxy threw at them, humanity would rise stronger, more determined. And when the final battle came, Rhea was certain of one thing: humans would stand victorious. Together, they would show the galaxy why humanity was a force unlike any other.